Wait, stop scrolling for a second. Imagine this, an official academic book, written by a university professor in the United States. A serious dance theory textbook, the kind students study in classrooms. Not a fan project, not a magazine, not a K-pop article, but somehow, Jimin's name is inside it. Yes, Park Jimin, from BTS. Why would an American professor choose a K-pop idol as inspiration for a professional academic book? What do they see in him that the world didn't notice before? Welcome back to Jikook Lover Purple Heart. Before we start, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because today's story might completely change the way you see Jimin forever. This isn't just about fame. This is about respect, art, and a shocking recognition no one expected. And trust me, the real reason behind it is way more surprising than you think. At first, it looked like nothing special. Just a mural on a wall, a giant painting under an open sky, deep blue like outer space, stars scattered across it like dust, and in the center, a figure floating weightlessly, dressed in white, almost like an angel. His body curved softly, one leg bent, arms light as feathers, as if gravity itself had given up on holding him down. People walked past it every day. Some took photos. Some admired it for a few seconds. Most didn't think twice. It was just art. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. Because no one knew that somewhere across the world, in a quiet university office filled with books and research papers, a professor was writing something that would soon shock an entire fandom. A book. Not an album. Not a documentary. Not a fan tribute. A real academic book. The kind that sits on library shelves. The kind students highlight and quote. The kind professors use to teach theory, structure, and the science behind movement. And inside that serious, professional, educational book was inspiration drawn from Jimin. The moment fans found out, everything froze. Because it didn't sound real. It sounded like one of those exaggerated internet rumors. The kind armies joke about. The kind you laugh at and scroll past. Yeah, right, a professor using Jimin as an academic reference? Impossible. But then the evidence started appearing. The author was real. The university was real. The book was real. And suddenly, the laughter turned into silence. Because this wasn't fantasy. This was recognition. Official recognition. And that's when the biggest question exploded across timelines, forums, and group chats. Why Jimin? Out of all dancers in the world, why him? Why not a famous ballet legend? Why not a Broadway choreographer? Why not a contemporary dance icon? Why would an American academic choose a K-pop idol? For years, the global art world had quietly drawn a line between pop entertainment and serious dance. Idols were often seen as performers, not artists. Entertainers, not subjects of study. K-pop was flashy, commercial, fun, but academic? Rarely. Yet somehow, Jimin crossed that invisible line without anyone realizing. And maybe the truth had been there all along. Because if you really watched him, truly watched him, you would notice something strange. Jimin doesn't just execute choreography. He doesn't just hit counts. He doesn't just smile for the camera. He feels every movement, every shoulder drop, every fingertip, every breath. It's like his body is speaking a language without words. When he performs something soft, you feel fragile just looking at him. When he performs something dark, the air turns heavy. When he jumps, it almost feels like he's escaping gravity itself. It doesn't look rehearsed. It looks lived. And for professional dancers, that difference means everything. Technique can be trained. Emotion cannot. Control like that doesn't come from memorizing steps. It comes from understanding the body like an instrument. Like music. Like poetry. Somewhere, late at night, maybe that professor was watching one of Jimin's performances on a small laptop screen. Maybe it was lie. Maybe Black Swan. Maybe serendipity. Maybe they expected nothing. Just another pop idol. Just another viral performance. But then something happened. They didn't look away. They couldn't. Because what they were seeing wasn't idol dancing. It was storytelling through muscle and breath. It was classical control mixed with modern vulnerability. It was the kind of movement scholars spend years trying to explain in textbooks. And maybe that's when the thought appeared. Not he's famous. Not he's popular. But he's worth studying. Imagine that moment. A K-pop idol becoming a case study. Not for gossip. Not for trends. But for theory, for education, for art, it's almost unreal. And yet it happened. Slowly, word spread. Fans from Korea to Indonesia to the US started sharing screenshots. Messages filled with disbelief, tears, pride, shock. Because this wasn't a trophy. It wasn't numbers. It wasn't charts. It was something deeper. Respect. The kind of respect that can't be bought or streamed. The kind earned when professionals look at you and say, yes, this is art. And suddenly, everything about Jimin's journey felt heavier. A boy who once trained endlessly in a small practice room. A trainee who doubted himself. A dancer who pushed his body until collapse. Now inspiring academic literature overseas. From Busan to textbooks. From stage lights to university classrooms. It sounded like a movie script, but it was real life. And maybe the most surprising part isn't that a professor chose Jimin. Maybe it's that we're only noticing now. Because how many experts have already been quietly watching K-pop? How many teachers have already been studying idol performances? How many doors have already opened without us realizing? If one book exists today, how many more could come tomorrow? Could Jimin one day be officially written into dance history? Could future students analyze his movements the way they analyze ballet masters? Could idol dancer stop being a label and become modern dance pioneer? And here's the question that keeps echoing louder and louder. If a professor thousands of miles away sees Jimin as art serious enough for academia, then have we, as fans, underestimated just how big his impact truly is? So tell me, is Jimin simply a talented idol? Or is he quietly reshaping the future of dance on a global scale without any of us realizing it yet? What do you think? And the more people talked about it, the stranger it felt. Because this wasn't the kind of recognition that trends for a day and disappears. This wasn't a fan-voted award. This wasn't a popularity contest. This was something quieter, but infinitely heavier. Academic acknowledgement. The kind that doesn't chase hype. The kind that studies, observes, analyzes, and only then decides. Which means one thing. This choice wasn't emotional. It was intentional. Somewhere inside that book, Jimin wasn't described as cute, or charismatic, or famous. He was discussed in terms of form, lines, control, weight distribution, expressive transitions, the mechanics of the human body in motion. In other words, science. Let that sink in. Jimin's dancing wasn't just admired. It was examined, broken down, researched. Almost like how historians analyze legendary performers from decades ago. And that realization hit fans differently. Because suddenly, all those moments we screamed over during concerts, all those fan cams we replayed at 2 a.m., all those performances that made us cry for no reason. They weren't just fan feelings. They were real artistic impact. Validated, proven, recognized by professionals. Maybe that's why the story feels bigger than charts or awards ever could. Awards celebrate success, but books preserve legacy. Awards fade, but literature stays. Years from now, long after trends change and new groups debut, that book will still sit on a shelf somewhere. A student will open it, flip through the pages, read about dance theory, and then suddenly, they'll see his name, Jimin, not as an idol, but as a reference, as inspiration, as part of dance history. And maybe they won't even know K-pop. Maybe they won't know BTS. But they'll study his movements anyway, just because his art demanded to be understood. Isn't that wild to think about? That Jimin might quietly outlive the industry labels placed on him? That one day he could be remembered not only as a superstar, but as an artist who changed how people define performance itself? And maybe that's the most shocking part of all. This whole time, while the world argued about rankings and records, something deeper was happening behind the scenes. Experts were watching. Scholars were taking notes. Professors were paying attention. Not to the noise, but to the art. So maybe the real question was never, why did a professor choose Jimin? Maybe the real question is, how many more already have? How many classrooms are already showing his performances? How many researchers are quietly analyzing idol choreography right now? And how many barriers between K-pop and the global art world are about to fall next? Because if Jimin can cross into academia, what's stopping the rest of the world from following? What if this isn't the peak, but just the beginning? So now we turn it back to you. Do you think this is simply a proud moment for fans? Or is this the first sign that Jimin is slowly becoming something even bigger than an idol, something closer to a cultural icon studied for generations?